真空
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Your boy System Psycho back again with my boy Josh for another awesome video game video. So, if you guys heard, there has been an announcement that Nintendo is going to release the NES Classic Mini.
Yep.
The news has been out for about 7 days now, so pretty much for a week. And so what we want to talk about is just our thoughts on anything, like everything that's come out so far, like the information, you know, what we think about it, and just talk about the stuff in the games and what we think. So, I don't know, man, where you want to start? Like, well, what's the first thing you want to discuss?
I mean, the first thing that I want to talk about is just like the little bit of negative feedback that I've been reading on message boards and just reading on articles and stuff that's releasing information on it. And I just want to kind of like clarify it, because this is actually not meant for retro game collectors. And I see a lot of people that are saying negative stuff like, well, Nintendo should have released like a version 2 of the classic NES and preloaded it with games and made it so that you could play old cartridge games. And that's not what this is. I mean, it's a plug and play system licensed by Nintendo. So it's really it's basically being marketed to like the nostalgic consumer, you know? So I mean, a good example of it is two friends that we know, you know, they're not into video games at all. Yeah. And when I told them about this, and one of them actually saw the news, they both said they want to pick this up. Mm-hmm. You know, and so it's really to fuel that market. And the fact that they're making the controllers that are cross-compatible with the Wii and the Wii U or whatever, and you know, so that way it actually opens up their library too for the virtual console. So I think like that's an important thing to kind of get out of the way, is just like who this is actually marketed to, and I think that just based off of that it's smart marketing, really. I mean, because this is not, you know, I've seen people say like, well, can't you just get ROMs? Well, no, because Nintendo shut down most of the ROMs that were available out there. Yeah. Not only that, a lot of people, they're not into that. Like they're not interested in buying ROMs, and they're also not in the market of retro collecting. Like they're not going to spend $300 or $400 to go and buy a classic NES and all the cartridges of these games that are coming out. So, you know, I think it's perfect for really the casual video game. Really,
it's funny because I really haven't heard too much negative feedback about it, but I really haven't dug too much into it. Mm-hmm. But what I have seen, you know, I mean, obviously I'm a retro collector. You know, all these games back here are NES games. You know, and when I heard about it, I didn't really care too much about it because I already own all these games, and I have an NES, so to me it really didn't matter. But I thought it was cool just because it has 30 games preloaded onto it, and me being a collector and trying to keep everything in top-notch condition, it's a lot better for me because I don't have to go open up the box, get the cartridge, insert it in, whereas it's just 30 games. So like, and the price tag is awesome too. I think it's like $60.
Yep.
So it's a really good price tag for 30 fucking games.
Absolutely.
And so me personally, I would get it because, I mean, those 30 games, I could just easily just plug it into the TV and just play those 30 games right there instead of me having to grab all of them. I mean, it's cool having them, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have it on the original hardware, and I can still play it on the original hardware, but having that is pretty good. And on top of that, I mean, the model, it's a smaller NES, and it looks really tight. You know, it's not like some bullshit-ass little box that usually comes out. You know, Nintendo did a really good job in thinking about how they're going to push it and how they're going to create it, and they just made it a little NES Mini, which I think draws people because it's like, oh, cool, it's like a little miniature version. Absolutely. You know, it's not that big ass toaster box, you know, and you can take it anywhere, and that's another good thing about it. If you're traveling, you don't got to take 30 games with you.
Right.
You just have a little small ass joint, bam.
Absolutely. That's actually a really good point to it too, because like that was the first thing that I saw. You know, a third party worked with Sega, I guess a couple years back now, where they came out with one, and I just wasn't interested in it at all. The games were great. I think it was the same thing where it had like 30 classic games or something like that, but the actual console itself looked like a Retrocon.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of looked like a bootleg, like a bootleg like console. Yeah. You know, so there was really no appeal to it. And I have on Xbox 360, I have that Sonic's Genesis collection, right? So for me, if I want to go back and play those games, I could always go back and play it on that.
Yeah.
But see, with Nintendo hit it right because they did. They gave you this little mini NES, and that's what's going to draw you to it. Not only that, they're doing the replica of the classic controller too.
Oh yeah.
So while you're sitting down and you're playing these games, it will have that same feel that it had. So it will bring back that rush of nostalgia when you're sitting there and playing these games and going through. And I think it was an ingenious idea. I mean, people were all bent, not all bent out of shape, but there has been a lot of stuff where people say, oh, so what, is this going to be part one and then they're just going to release more? Well, from what I understand, no. This is going to be a standalone, plug and play, 30 games. There's not going to be any way to import more games onto it.
Okay.
And it's a smart idea because now what they're doing is, like I said at the beginning, the controller is going to be able to be crossed over to the Wii U so that you'll be able to play Virtual Console, and people will probably get a little bit of nostalgia, and then they'll start looking up on the Virtual Console if they have a Wii U games that they may want to play again, and so it's going to expand the business. I mean, Nintendo has the right idea.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too.
2 random points on this thing too that I think are really cool. Number one is the HDMI. Ported system. So I think that's really cool that you can use it on your
big flat
screen now, and like that's something that if you have classic games, if you ever try to hook it up to the big screen, it doesn't really look as good. You kind of have to go back to an old tube style TV like with the flat screens and stuff, like the last generation of those. So I'm really excited about that I can hook it up to like the main television in the house and play it on that. And then the other thing too is that a lot of these like plug and play retro systems, and I think that this is a big thing because it's a Nintendo seal of approval system really, is that it is a plug-in controller, not those crappy infrared controllers.
That usually don't work.
Yeah, that usually like lose signal like halfway through the game. So those are 2 like random things about this that I think are really cool.
I mean, you don't know how long the cord is, dude. I hope it's not no TurboGrafx 16 cord. You gotta play like this close to the TV, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I hope not either. It is. Like, check out our TurboGrafx video. We talk about that in there, but that cord was ridiculous. Ridiculously small. No, I hope that it's got enough like room for me to sit back on the couch and enjoy my game instead of having to sit in front of the TV. Although that would be part of the nostalgia, sitting there in front of the TV and playing it.
That's what I'm saying. It's funny because as time progressed, it's like the cords got shorter, dude. I swear. And then Xbox had a good idea where they is detachable.
They put the extension. Yeah.
We'll see how Nintendo does it, man. Hopefully they do a good job with it.
Yeah.
Dude, so I mean, what are your thoughts on the list of games that have come out? So there's 30 games.
Yeah, 30 games that have come out. I mean, really, they're all pretty heavy hitters. You know, I mean, games like Punch-Out, you know, games like the Super Mario Brothers trilogy, Mario Brothers, Zelda 2, Castlevania 2, Metroid, pretty much Kid Icarus. All the Nintendo like classic games that you can think of are there. Now there were a couple that were a little questionable to me. Like, for instance, Balloon Fight.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah, Balloon Fight is one of those games where it's like, you know, I don't remember anybody like having the nostalgia being like, dude, you remember Balloon Fight back in the day? No one did. And I felt like they could have like there's really not a lot of sports games on this
They have Tecmo
Bowl, yeah, and then I think that they have Excite Bike, which I guess could be considered one, and I don't know what other ones, thinking about it off the top of my head, but like I really felt like they could have used something like another like Black Label game like pro wrestling or like ice hockey or something.
Ice hockey would have been a good one.
Or even go back to like, or even go a little bit forward, like towards like the later years when they had Little League Pro Baseball or Little League World Baseball. That was a fucking awesome game too.
Or have Blade and Steel.
Blade World War 4, yeah, dude, that would have been.
That game was fucking awesome.
Sick,
just to like, you know, kind of diversify the sporting thing in there.
Yeah, I think that would have been good. Another one that was weird too is like, you know, you get Capcom games and Konami games, which is awesome. I mean, that's something that I was not really expecting. I was really thinking like it was going to be all NES games, you know, so I thought that was awesome. But the one that stood out to me was that they had Super C.
Oh, okay.
And you know, a lot of people, like, there are a lot of people that actually prefer Super C over Contra. But me and you, from growing up back in the NES
Yeah.
days, you know, like, the thing that really stood out to me that went hand in hand with the NES was the code.
Contra code.
Everybody knew
That's
the
like a
Contra
big thing.
code. So I really thought, like, Contra probably would have been the better out of the two
Yeah.
games for them to put for just nostalgia. Because, again, this is for the nostalgic market. So
Yeah.
I think that more nostalgia comes from the original Contra than from Super C, but I could be wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, honestly, man, to me, they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
People aren't gonna give a shit. You know what I
no, they're
mean?
not.
But I mean, one game that a couple games that I really liked on the list was Double Dragon 2, which I thought was
Absolutely.
a random. I thought that was the most random one because they didn't go with one, but I think they went with two because it's co-op. And to me, Double Dragon 2 is my favorite NES game of all time. I think that was fucking awesome that they have that. Bubble Bobble's another one.
Bubble Bobble's awesome.
Yeah, which is I thought that was a pretty good one. It's like Nintendo really tapped into back in the day. Like, hey guys, they're in a meeting. All right, guys, which games were classics that people remembered?
Yeah.
Bubble Bobble, yes, Bubble Bobble.
Absolutely.
That's something that like you really had to live back then to like really remember. So Bubble Bobble was another one, and then Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2, I know me and you have discussed this.
Yeah.
I prefer Mega Man 3. Mega Man 3 is my favorite Mega Man.
I do too.
And I know that Mega Man 2 is like the one that everybody.
It's universally loved.
Yeah,
I
that's the
mean,
one
it
that
is.
everybody says is like the best one, and I believe it's because that people feel that the villains are better or whatever. But I think, me personally, I think 3, and I think it was a good idea that they put 2 because it's the universally loved one.
Mhm.
Instead of putting like a random one like 4 or 5, and I don't expect them to put all 6.
No,
So I think
no.
2 was a good choice, but I prefer 3.
I wouldn't too. I would prefer 3. I think the music's better.
Yeah, the
I mean,
music's way
truthfully,
better.
I just like the music.
Spark
better.
Man, Snake Man, Hard Man, Top Man. They're all fucking classic ass music, man. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it. I mean, are you gonna get it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely
Yeah.
gonna get it. I mean, let's face it. $60, 30 games preloaded. You get a controller. I think a second controller is like 10 or 15 bucks.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah. $12, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, like, even if you're just like a casual gamer, if you're a hardcore gamer, whatever, the price alone, I think it sells itself.
Yeah, when I heard I thought something like that would be like between $89 to $120 to tell you the truth. I'm not gonna lie, because Nintendo, they're pretty pricey.
Oh, absolutely.
And even for their classic shit, but
Yep.
yeah, I agree, man. I'm gonna purchase that, John. I think the price is good, and I'll have a little mini NES chilling
Yeah.
right there.
Absolutely.
So, alright guys, there you go. Those are our thoughts on the NES Classic Mini. What are your thoughts on that? If you guys have any other comments, questions, any feedback on what we talked about, we'd love to see your comments down below. We like to respond back, give you guys feedback as well. Once again, guys, check out our links down below. Josh, this is some Psycho signing off. Peace.